Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the BLACKBIRD PLC Annual General Meeting. Throughout this recorded meeting, attendees online will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged. They can be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab that's just situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Please just simply type in your questions and press send. I would now like to hand you over to the board of BLACKBIRD PLC, and good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. It is now 2 p.m., ladies and gentlemen, and as the quorum required by the company's Articles of Association is now present, I would like to welcome you to BLACKBIRD's 2025 AGM. May I begin by introducing myself and the other members of the board. I am Anne de Kerkhoff, Chair of the company, Ian McDonough, CEO, Steve White, Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer, Stephen Streeter, Research and Development Director, and we're also joined by Summit Wright, our Chief Product Officer, who's going to help us talk a bit more about the product. May I also introduce our Company Secretary, Martin McKay, Jeremy Reid, representing our auditors, Moore Kingston Smith LLP, and Nick Naylor, Pierre Shimwell, and Amrit Nahal, representing our Nomad brokers, Allenby Capital. Now, before proceeding with the formal part of the AGM, I would like to take the opportunity to comment on the company's progress since we last met, as announced at the market earlier this morning. The past year was a significant year for both BLACKBIRD and Elevate.io. In 2024, for the first time, the BLACKBIRD division delivered a positive EBITDA of 0.5 million and positive cash flow. There were a number of key renewals, including multi-year deals with the Global Financial News Organization and FIFA, and annual renewals of the U.S. Department of State and CBS Sports. Elevate.io is built incorporating the company's core patented technology, and it has now progressed through its problem solution fit stage, with demand being established for its offering and the team gaining valuable insights. Elevate.io's vision is a unique proposition for the video platform. At its core, it's an online video editor with real-time collaboration and integrated digital asset management. With an intuitive, accessible user interface, the platform design also envisions integrating third-party AI and a marketplace. Users also benefit from the company's key technological advantages, which deliver responsiveness, smoothness of both navigation, playback, and proven reliability. Elevate.io is aimed at the creator economy and corporate markets with an estimated initial serviceable addressable market of 6.9 billion. Less than a year after general release, Elevate.io paid creator plan was launched on the 11th of February 2025. Features and functionalities such as vertical video, comments, looks, and 4K publishing continue to be added frequently, increasing the capabilities of the product and opening its addressable market. During Elevate.io's current product market fit phase, the company will continue to look at different marketing channels appropriate to the product's progression. The team will take a disciplined, data-driven approach to marketing spend to ensure an effective return on investment. To date, marketing spend has been kept at modest levels, with the vast majority on paid search in the US market only. However, there have been a number of valuable learnings, including 1 in 2 users who visit the Elevate.io website for the first time now sign up as a verified user. And the cost of acquisition of paid users, a CAC, has been brought down by 55% between February and May this year. These improvements have been accomplished through product and website upgrades, as well as benefiting from advanced in marketing. We aim to continue to improve our effectiveness in converting users to paid users. With rapid improvement in product and marketing, steadily reducing CAC, we have adopted a disciplined approach to marketing to ensure that we have a cost-effective outcome. The product is designed to encourage usage via an increasingly feature-rich set of features that will aid customer retention. There's real-time collaboration, which will encourage new introductions to Elevate.io. An additional feature behind the paywall will encourage conversion to paid user status. The company has an ambitious vision for Elevate.io to be the Figma for video editing. As we have seen from parallel industries that have moved online and offer a convenient, seamless experience, the rewards can be huge. Elevate.io has come a long way in a short period of time, now has paying customers, and continues to add features and functionality at pace. We will continue to take a data-driven approach to marketing, opening up new additional channels and markets at the appropriate time. It's a very exciting time for the company as it leans into our technological advantages and benefits, and with the talented team that we have in place. On behalf of the board, I would like to thank you for your support. Further to the company's announcement on the 24th of April 2025, following the conclusion of the AGM, I will step down from the board of the company, and whilst the company is actively seeking a replacement, Ian McDonough will assume the role of interim executive chair. We will now turn to the formal business of the AGM. The circular to shareholders, including the notice of AGM, together with a copy of the company's 2024 reports and accounts, was published on the 14th of May 2025, and accordingly, notice of the AGM has been duly given in accordance with the statutory requirements and the company's articles of association. The reports and accounts, together with the notice of AGM, are available on the company website. With your permission, I will take the notice as read. Resolution 1. The first resolution is to receive the reports and accounts of the company for its year ending 31st of December 2024. The reports of the directors and the auditors are set out on page 14 to 21 and 24 to 28 of the accounts. With your permission, I will take these reports as read. Before the resolution is proposed, I invite any questions. I now propose the resolution is put to the meeting. May I call upon you by a show of hands to indicate first those in support of the resolution and those against. I now declare the resolution carried unanimously. I would mention that over 99.9% of the proxy votes have been logged in with the company in respect to this resolution, totaling 101,639,384 votes, including chairman and third-party discretionary votes, were in favor of the resolution and 82,209 were against. Resolution 2. The second resolution is to approve the remuneration report and directors' remuneration and benefits for the year ended 31st of December 2024. Details of such are disclosed on page 22 and 23 of the 24 financial statements and at note 3 on page 41. It is worth noting that this resolution is being put to an advisory vote in line with the recommendations of the QCA Corporate Governance Code 2023 and in accordance with the provisions of the Companies Act 2006. The director's entitlement of such remuneration benefits is not conditional on the resolution being passed. Before the resolution is proposed, I invite any questions. I now propose that the resolution is put to the meeting. May I call upon you by a show of hands to indicate first those in support of the resolution and those against. I now declare the resolution carried. I would mention that over 98.9% of the proxy votes have been logged with the company in respect of this resolution, totaling 105,865,375 votes, including chairman and third-party discretionary votes, were in favor of the resolution, and 1,086,219 were against. Resolution 3. The third resolution is to reappoint Moore Kingston Smith LLP as the company's auditors and to authorize the directors to fix their remuneration. Before the resolution is proposed, I invite any questions. I now propose that the resolution is put to the meeting. May I call upon you by a show of hands to indicate first those in support of the resolution and those against. I now declare the resolution carried. I would mention that over 99.9% of the proxy votes have been logged with the company in respect of this resolution, totaling 106,749,269 votes, including chairman and third-party discretionary votes, were in favor of the resolution, and 68,324 were against. We'll now move to Resolution 4. The fourth resolution is for the reappointment of Ian McDonough as director, who is standing for annual re-election in accordance with good governance, corporate governance practice and the recommendations of the QCA Corporate Governance Code 2023. Before the resolution is proposed, I invite any questions. I now propose that the resolution is put to the meeting. May I call upon you by a show of hands to indicate first those in support of the resolution and those against. I now declare the resolution carried. I would mention that over 99.3% of the proxy votes have been logged with the company in respect of this resolution, totaling 106,157,780 votes, including chair and third-party discretionary votes, were in favor of the resolution, and 715,150 were against. Resolution 5. The fifth resolution is for reappointment of Stephen White as a director who is standing for annual re-election in accordance with good governance, corporate governance practice and the recommendations of the QCA Corporate Governance Code 2023. Before the resolution is proposed, I invite any questions. I now propose that the resolution is put to the meeting. May I call upon you by a show of hands to indicate first those in support of the resolution and those against. I now declare the resolution carried. I would mention that over 99.2% of the proxy votes have been logged with the company in respect of this resolution, totaling 106,117,780 votes, including chairman and third-party discretionary votes, were in favor of the resolution, and 755,150 were against. Resolution 6. The sixth resolution is to reappoint Stephen Streeter as director, who is standing for annual re-election in accordance with good governance, corporate governance practice, and the recommendations of the QCA Corporate Governance Code 2023. Before the resolution is proposed, I invite any questions. I now propose that the resolution is put to the meeting. May I call upon you by a show of hands to indicate first those in support of the resolution and those against. Thank you. I now declare the resolution carried. I would mention that 99.7% of the proxy votes have been logged by the company in respect of this resolution, totaling 106,567,780 votes, including chairman and third-party discretionary votes, were in favor of the resolution, and 305,150 were against. Resolution 7. The seventh resolution proposes the election of Yuri Azanov as a director, who was appointed as a director by the board with effect from 15th of August 2024 and is standing for reappointment by shareholders. Before the resolution is proposed, I invite any questions. I now propose that the resolution is put to the meeting. May I call upon you by a show of hands to indicate first those in support of the resolution. Thank you. And those against? I now declare the resolution carried. I would mention that over 99.3% of the proxy votes have been logged with the company in respect of this resolution, totaling 106,154,427 votes were in favor of the resolution, and 718,503 were against. Resolution 8. The eighth resolution proposes the election of Nick Lisher as a director, who was appointed as a director by the board with effect from 16th of December 2024 and is standing for reappointment by shareholders. Before the resolution is proposed, I invite any questions. I now propose that the resolution is put to the meeting. May I call upon you by a show of hands to indicate first those in support of the resolution. Thank you. And those against? I now declare the resolution carried. I would mention that over 99.7% of the proxy votes have been lodged by the company in respect of this resolution, totaling 106,564,427 votes were in favor of the resolution, and 308,503 were against. Resolution 9. The ninth resolution is to renew the authority of the directors to issue shares, set at a limit equal to 1/4 of the issued share capital of the company at the date of the notice. I should make it clear that, save for the grant of options under the company's share option scheme and allotment of shares pursuant to outstanding share options and to satisfy vested awards under the company's long-term incentive plan, the directors have no current plans to issue further shares pursuant to this authority if renewed. Before the resolution is proposed, I invite any questions. I now propose that the resolution is put to the meeting. May I call upon you by a show of hands to indicate first those in support of the resolution and those against. I now declare the resolution carried, and I would mention that over 99.1% of the proxy votes have been lodged with the company in respect of this resolution, totaling 106,144,286 votes, including chairman and third-party discretionary votes, were in favor of the resolution, and 907,308 were against. Resolution 10. The 10th resolution is to renew the authority of the directors to issue shares for cash in certain limited circumstances without first offering those shares to existing shareholders. Before the resolution is proposed, I invite any questions. I now propose that the resolution is put to the meeting as a special resolution. May I call upon you by a show of hands to indicate first those in support of the resolution and those against. I now declare the resolution carried as a special resolution. I would mention that over 98.9% of the proxy votes that have been logged with the company in respect of this resolution, totaling 105,576,884 votes, were in favor of the resolution, and 1,075,404 were against. That concludes the formal voting on the resolutions for approval of the AGM. If any vote lost on a show of hands, we can move on to that as we haven't. So thank you all for your attendance. I will now ask Ian and the management team to give you an update on the business, and we will open then the floor to questions.
I just want to ask a question in relation to the shareholders.
The time when to do that. I just want to ask one question. I mean, I don't understand it. Why, in the case of Ian, Stephen, it was 99.7%. I would have thought that it should be 100% if he's the founding member of the company. And I'm just wondering why there were people voting against. Any ideas?
No. Well, it wasn't us. So. That's what you're asking, Richard.
Yeah. And the second question, it's relating to you, Anna. I just wanted to know why you've decided to leave the company after giving quite a bullish statement today. And, you know, if you think this company's got a tremendous future, why you've decided to go?
It's unfortunately due to the point system in the UK in terms of public company boards. There's a set limit of points that one is allowed to have, and I therefore had to leave the formal board. I'm remaining as an investor, as an advisor, but stepping down from the formal position of chair because of...
Is this because you had to decide which companies you were going to be involved in? And if this company's got such a great future story, why you had to give up this one as opposed to some of your other interests?
It's a very personal question about how one chooses its portfolio. But what I would say is exactly what I told Ian and the whole team, which is I'm not going anywhere, and I'm staying here as an investor and an advisor. And I feel I can do that whether it's as a chairperson or as a simple advisor. For me, it's not about titles; it's about what you bring to the company and how you work with it.
Well, we look forward to seeing you next year.
It will be my pleasure.
Great. Okay, we're not going to do a massive PowerPoint deck today, guys. We're just going to do a couple of slides just to give you a bit of context and reference about where we are in the process and what comes next. And then we're going to see a demo from Summit and obviously the collaborative nature of the platform as well from involving Cal. And then we're opening the floor to questions because we know you're dying to ask. I've got a lot of questions, so we'll leave a lot of time for that. So first slide, please, Sam. So obviously BlackBird's been around some time, and that gave Elevate a huge head start, a huge leg up in terms of making sure that we had an advanced technology going into the platform before we kicked off. Nevertheless, Elevate is still a startup product, and it's a startup within an organization that's been around a while. So we need to kind of make sure that we understand and we explain to you where we are in the phases of a startup product as it's rolling out. And the good news is we've gone through 2 of the phases already, and we're in the really more interesting bit of the phases, if you like, the more exciting bit of the phases. Exploration was certainly something we did when Summit first joined us in 2022. We raised money for what is now Elevate in 2021. My slides just open, but doesn't matter, I suppose. But we're on the last slide. Yeah. We raised money in 2021 for what is now known as Elevate, and we did a lot of exploration in that year. What we then went into in late 23, early 24 was we pushed out the product into the market as a completely free product, and that really was establishing that we had a problem. There was a problem in the market that we could solve. There was a problem there that we could solve, and we believe that we passed that with flying colours. And the reason that we believe that is that the response to the free product has been extraordinary. And since we started advertising this product in September 2024, we've had tens of thousands of people come on and use the product as we've explained before, and that is a testament to the fact there is a problem to be solved, and we have a solution to that problem. What's more, in terms of that, we also have a website out now that's been developed and improved week on week, and more than 1 in 2 people that come to that website for the first time are becoming a verified user, meaning that we have their email addresses, that we verify that email address, and that they become a user. So it really does show that there's the testament to the fact there is a demand in the market for the solution that we've brought. We're now in the product solution fit phase, which is basically where we are, product market fit phase, where we are looking at the product week in, week out, and improving it week in, week out, so that it really fits the market that we're going into. And with every new feature that comes on board, every new piece of functionality that comes on board, there is an additional available market to us, additional available cohort of people that will be able to use the product and can use the product and do use the product. So that is the phase we're in now. We envisage being in this phase of product market fit until next year, probably until end of first quarter, towards mid of next year, when we will move into scale-up phase. And scale-up phase is when we push the gas, really push the gas on marketing, and really scale up the company. Until then, as Anne said in the opening statement, there is caution and there is prudence around what we're doing with marketing, because we could be putting a lot more money into marketing, but there'll be a lot more wastage if we do that. And we want to make sure that we don't waste money, that we actually get the metrics working in the right way, that the traction is completely right before we really push the gas in the marketing area. So that maybe answers some question to you have around why haven't you seen marketing, or why aren't we going harder into marketing? It's really because we're in that product market fit phase before scale up. Next slide, please. But this is what's going to happen over the next 12 months. So we are going to start moving deeper into it. So each and every month we intend to spend marketing in different areas. Not necessarily more marketing money, but marketing in different areas. At the moment, only one of these, or actually 1.5, let's say, of these engines, these 7 engines have been switched on. That is the fact we've been using search ads only in the US, because that is the biggest and most nuanced and valuable video market that there is. And we've done a little bit of organic and social community building, but it hasn't been full powered at this stage, and we are starting to create more video now around the product. But we have more engines to switch on. We have more marketing engines to switch on. And Cal is here, head of marketing, who I think you remember from last year. He's had a fantastic year with us. He's moving now into different areas of this donut, let's call it. Affiliates and referrals, which is a very viral way of bringing in new users, new paid users, is coming quite soon. We will be looking at social ads, particularly probably Meta, but other social platforms as well. We've dipped our toe into media and events. You've probably seen some activity that we had at South by Southwest in London recently, where we were invited to come and do a panel around AI, the AI creator. We've started to have some early influencer marketing conversations. Again, this is something we would use with caution and prudence, but we will be using it. We just want to make sure that we have the right product to put into the hands of those influencers before we do that, and that is coming quite soon. And then lastly, partnerships. Now, Anne mentioned Yuri Hasnov. Yuri joined us late last year as a previous director at YouTube and a director at JellySmack. There is pretty much no one in the creator economy that Yuri doesn't know that's of a senior standing. And so we do have the ability, or we have the capacity, to go and talk to those people. And it could be education platforms, it could be gaming platforms, it could be creator networks, where we can rapidly accelerate how Elevate is taken up by the communities, these entrenched communities of engaged users, more rapidly than going one by one. But before we get there, we want to make sure our metrics are right, our metrics are in the right place. And again, that goes back to the point I was making earlier, is that they are improving. We brought the CAC down by more than half. I mean, that's fantastic in 3 months, but we have bigger ambitions around that. We want to get it down much further. So we will continue to work on that product market fit phase. And when we're ready, we'll turn these engines on one by one, or maybe 2 at once, but we'll be starting to turn them on over the next 12 months. Good. We've got to take questions in a minute, but we'll go to Summit now and do the demo.
Okay, so as everybody knows, when we set out to build Elevate IO, the barrier, or the level that we set, was that it was going to be the first online publicly available editor that was going to satisfy the professional market, because everything that's out there that's available by sign up online isn't capable. And we were the company with our existing product was the only one that was actually at the professional level. But obviously, it was not just freely available on the internet. It required some infrastructure and some setup. And you look at where we are now, we've definitely achieved that status. So if I give you an example of this edit here, which is put together all within Elevate IO. First of all, you'll notice we get all the smooth seeking that we obviously get from our existing technology. But when you play back the video, you get to see a great experience online that you couldn't get from any other editor. I think the volume on the TV is down. I don't know whether there's a TV remote. That I think hopefully the online users heard it better. Sorry? Yeah, online are hearing it beautifully, but for some reason the TV's turned down in the room, and it wasn't earlier when we set it up, so apologies for that. But let me talk through what's going on. So not only are we able to pull together a really complicated edit with, you know, dozens and dozens of clips and be able to seek back and forth within them, but you can also take individual clips. Like we can take that clip there, and we know that that's just slightly too hot, that it is just slightly not quite right. And we can make these kind of levels of adjustment in real time. And the end users obviously get to see that back immediately. The other thing that we've introduced recently is in our processing chain is effects and looks. So when you go to here, you're able to, when I select that clip, automatically get predefined looks that will help users get a head start in their grading journey. Now, this isn't always the finished article. They may want to tweak it a little bit there afterwards, but it gives all of the users a really fantastic starting point in their journey and actually pulling something together. So we've definitely achieved the main thing, which was like, can we build an editor that was at the professional end? And we knew it was technically possible because we've done it before in our core business, but actually making that available to tens of thousands of people online who have signed up and have, you know, come forward and joined us from, you know, over the 100 countries is a huge amount that we have learned from that, because in the product, every interaction that any user makes, we monitor. So we get lots of telemetrics out of the product. We know what people use. We know how they use it. And the thing that has been really crucial for us is to ensure that that user experience that all of the users are going through is right, because that's how creative software works. Creative as in software used to make creative things. It's not just about the number of features. It's about how you do it. That's what makes all the difference. When you look at all the favorite tools in the industry, and those tools which have, you know, been around, we always reference Figma, but it's a great example of a tool that isn't, they haven't won the online design space because they have the most amount of features. They won it because it's the best user experience. So for us, it's that really hard thing of we've already been gifted the technology, but we need to make it usable and available to everybody. One of the biggest innovations that we said that we were going to do that no one else was doing was to make the whole thing collaborative. And that we've achieved. So for those who haven't seen it before, I can take my project that I'm working on right here. I can go up to the invite. I've actually already invited Kel to it, to the project. So Kel, would you like to join the project? Now, remember, everything you're seeing here is running from the US. It's not running locally within this room or even within the UK. It's all running out of the US data center. And you can see that Kel turns up he can start playing around with the project. Even better than that, imagine we were on a phone together discussing it. I can click to follow Kel, and now without me touching, I can see exactly where he's moving the mouse to, what part of the video he's looking at, and that experience and that ability to collaborate is so much better than anything that's out there. It's the equivalent, and we've always positioned it as the equivalent of historically working on legal documents meant waiting for them to arrive in the post, printing them out, redlining them, putting them back in the post and sending them off. That was collaboration. Now we have track changes in Google Docs and Word, and we've brought that exact same thing to the video industry. So not only is Kel here editing away, busy playing with my edit, but I could actually leave him some notes as well. So I could get to here and I could leave a note just by putting his name in. And I could say, I think this shot needs a bit more warmth. And he gets obviously a notification because I've messaged it to him. And of course, he could be doing this not live like he is now. He could be doing this 3 hours later because he's in a different time zone. And we think that people who are using this across time zones are really going to benefit from this sort of near side communication. So I've already got a reply in there. So Kel says he's on it already. So he's going to work on that. And I can dismiss that comment when I'm done. This is only the beginning of our collaboration story. It's the hardest bit and it's the most important bit, which is that multiplayer element. But the bit that we're currently working on is a view only and review mode, which means that I could share it to someone who I don't necessarily want to edit my project with, but it could be like a client for approval or something like that. And so that makes it, incredibly powerful there as a tool in general. The other thing that we've added recently that some of you will have noticed were the effects and the preview for effects. Now, we only have at the moment 4. We have a lot more in the wings, a lot more that we're working on. And we'll be building that out, obviously, over time. And then transitions as well, which we have our standard transition set, but we're also working on a bunch of more modern more modern transitions, which we will be adding to the product as time goes on as well. So we're really happy with where we've got. The things ahead of us are there's some great things ahead. Better file support. We're already supporting more files than when we first launched. That better file support will open us up to work with slightly higher end and more professional users. We're going to be adding amazing color grading capabilities. At the moment, our color grading gets you most of the way there, but we want to make sure that people can really get to that fine end of it. And of course, one of the biggest things that we've always said, again, about being a cloud provider is unlike the desktop installed software, where the AI elements tend to be run on the local machine, which means huge downloads, compatibility issues. One of the things that's very tricky about AI running locally is that you potentially have to be limited by the GPU you have. So if you have an NVIDIA GPU or an Intel GPU, it may be that the AI that's provided by the third party is only going to work on one or the other. We obviously want to abstract all of this away from our end users. Because as a reminder, Elevate runs on a Chromebook, a $150 Chromebook. I happen to be running it on a Mac here. Stephen's got a Linux machine, or it could be, like I said, a $150 Chromebook. All of the processing is done by us. All the heavy lifting, the heavy processing is done by us in the cloud. So we abstract that from our users. And one of the advantages that we have in us being able to process all of that in the cloud is that we can leverage other people's AI engines to do stuff. And that could mean that we're farming it out temporarily to them to do the work and we bring it back, or we're running the AI ourselves within our own containers and making that available to the end users. So for the first time, we'll give you a little demo of one that we've been working on at the moment, which is one of many companies that we're talking to and building out integrations with. But this one is based on OpenAI. So this is based on the same engine behind ChatGPT. And what you'll see here is I've got a little video of a coast, and let's give it a little fade up in the beginning. Let's add maybe a little title as well, so that we've got something to call it. Let's call it the coast. Let's position that slightly. Put it up there so it's nice. I can even fade that in as well, so it gives us something. And let's get some text for. Did a wiki search earlier for coastal erosion, but let's just grab just some text from here, just straight off wiki. And you'll notice in my environment, this is not available out to everybody at the moment, but there was a text-to-speech element which I can stick in there. I could paste in. I've already made a choice of the word of the voice, and I can hit generate. What that does is it goes off. It sends our text to OpenAI. They do the work. We get the results back, and then we're able to put it through our workflow. You can see in the timeline right now it's generating. Within a few more seconds, we'll get this through the system. And what's nice is, of course, whilst they're doing all the generation, the cost effectiveness for us is huge, because what it means is that we're able to provide that to our end users with maybe even a small markup. Well, there is going to be obviously a markup involved in it because it's a cost plus model. For different types of AI, it will cost different amounts, and we'll obviously abstract all of that for the end user. They'll just essentially see the cost to them. So here's an example of what was created.
On non-rocky coasts, coastal erosion results in rock formations in areas where the coastline contains rock layers or fracture zones with varying resistance to erosion.
So there's a bunch of different voices. We haven't added all of the different tone changes and other things like that, which are due to come. But this is just one example of a generative AI And of course, we're working on image generation and the video generation, integrating that. And AI isn't just about generation. There's a bunch of things which AI can do to speed up your workflow. So we're working with other organizations in the way that which we can utilize their AI to essentially process our videos, to do things like remove noise or color treat them in a certain way. So unless there's anything else that I think we could show from the demo.
No, I think we can.
No, we can
Make
move
it
on.
back to it as we go through the questions, perhaps. But,
Okay, thank
Right.
you.
thanks, Tom. Okay, so to preempt the question that we always get about souvenirs, we have basically provided souvenirs for everyone today. So there's a mug for everybody here. Hope you enjoy. Yeah, and think of us while you're having your morning cuppa. Right. Okay, I'm going to read some questions are a little bit long, so just bear with me. And some questions that are longer, I'll try and split to more than one question. As someone who has used Elevate as well as other online editing systems, it is clear that Blackbird is building a quality product. But as an investor in Elevate, I'm most interested in how Blackbird is going to successfully monetize it. We've seen only the tip of the iceberg in terms of what AI is able to do and how we'll be able to assist video content creators. A human touch will always be needed in video content creation, but one thing that seems clear to me is that AI will reduce the need for teams of humans to create video content. Blackbird is targeting to generate most of its revenue from people taking advantage of the ease of collaboration using Elevate, but AI reduces that need for collaboration amongst teams of humans because only one human will be required in many cases. Does that not affect Blackbird's ability to generate revenue from Elevate? Is Blackbird's paying market vanishing? So maybe you want to pick up on that one.
Yeah, sure. I don't think it hinders it at all. It adds to it. Everything we're seeing from the AI space is going to be additive towards. It's just going to empower people to be able to do more themselves, and the likelihood is that will be a net positive for collaboration because they'll be doing more and therefore working with others. I don't see that it gets in the way of it. It's something that we fully embrace, something that we will absolutely be adding to our product, and more importantly, we get a distinct advantage because we're in the cloud. It's very easy for us to leverage AI from lots of different providers, and that's something that's really hard for installed software companies to do. It's virtually impossible for them to do that. So for us, and another bit just to remember is that because of, for us, all of the content is already in the cloud, it's very easy for us to work with third parties who tend to be in the same data center infrastructure as us. Whereas for the desktop clients as well, they get a little bit more complication because they have to transfer all their footage and get that process to bring it all back. So no, AI is going to be a net positive for us. We're embracing it. We're doing it. We're actively working with loads of partners on it, and it's going to be a big move forward for us.
I also see where the question is going in terms of looking at the overall market, and if video can be created by one person, do you not need two people there to collaborate with? I think the answer to that one really for me is that the more video there's going to be, it's like the more documents there are with Google Docs, the more people need to approve these docs. Video will be created and then there'll be a review and approve situation as well. And we are going to be very well suited to review and approve, rapidly review and approve, better than anything else in the market, we think. And we all are aware of Frame.io being probably the biggest one out there for review and approve. We think we'll be far better than that, far quicker than that. The other thing, yes, to mention on the AI side of things, yeah, Sam's absolutely right. We are working with partners already. We're actually being bombarded by partners, potential partners in the space. When I say that, I mean they're approaching me at mixing events, networking events on LinkedIn, by email. There are a lot of AI functionality out there, a lot of algorithms looking for a place for it to be brought to use. And Elevate is a perfect story for a great number of AI solutions, a great number of AI functionality to be given form and function. So we will make those AI functionality useful, and that's where we are playing in the story. Good. The second part of that question was, why haven't we seen the approaches for a buyout or investors wanting to take a large stake in Blackbird? I think I've given the same answer to this one over a number of years. It really is going to be a testament to how many people we have using it. Not many people just buy a technology or just buy a product. They want to see that it's got traction in the market, and that people have got it's got the right kind of trajectory. We are definitely working on that, and early metrics are very, very encouraging. What is the medium-term target for ARPU and how is it being comprised?
Well, we see that ARPU is going to go up over time, as users add additional seats, additional storage. We'll have different tiers in place. We'll have the marketplace there. But at this stage, without a track record and everything, we're not giving out internal targets.
Okay. As a marketplace question, what is your financial and business model for companies providing services or technology in the marketplace? Do you want to touch on that one some, and then we'll talk to Steve about how it's going to be charged for?
Yeah, so the approach that we're taking is obviously we will front the integration with all the third parties and we'll be managing that, and we're aware of the costs that are associated to that. And then in terms of passing that on to the end user, will be a mixture of what's available for them within a monthly subscription and then overage for everything that goes above. So it'll be very similar to our storage mechanism.
Yeah.
But of course, we want it to be, we haven't had to make the capital investment. We want it to be obviously profitable for us as an organization, but also we're well aware that it's got to make sense for the end user as well. The good news is that so many of the technologies, things like text to speech, are so cost effective because they become so cheap because of their use in automated telephony systems, things like that, that actually they're used to generating thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. And actually the good news is for us, that's quite low. So there'll be some AIs which are AI solutions which are very, very cheap. Others with generative 4K AI is going to be very expensive. But the good news is for us, there's no cost to us and it's a net positive to our bottom line.
It's absolutely a revenue line. Yeah, it's absolutely a revenue opportunity for us. So in order to enhance the reputation of Elevate in the marketplace and deliver significant income for funding further development, what plans do you have to secure some Elevate business with large established players? There's a few examples of the players ahead here, so I won't go through them all. But it really touches to the point I was making about partnerships earlier. Is that we have the capacity and we have the connections in the industry to have these to talk to the right players at the right time. We want to make sure that our product market fit is right, and then we will have those conversations. But it's absolutely part of the plan. Have you seen any competitors responding to the appearance of Elevate with any degree of concern for you, Summit?
Sorry,
are you concerned about any competitors in the market?
No, we're not. We are absolutely delighted that pretty much every other online video player is heading for the lowest end of the market. We've always said from day one, our aspiration is to get to 80% in the middle of the market. We're not concerned about 10% at either end. We're not going to be the highest end avatar Hollywood finishing tool, and we're not going to be cat skateboarding down the road videos. And we're really happy that the online editors are absolutely focusing on that lowest end of the market. That doesn't mean they're not going to be successful. TikTok's a very successful company. It's not us. We're going to go for that 80% in the middle, where it's people making serious videos all the way up to fully professional videos, but people making, let's call it content rather than just capturing a very short clip. So no, I'm not worried we've not seen anything that comes conceptually close to anything like the experience that we've built or the accuracy that we've built or what it's obviously intended for. We've not seen anyone.
The famous phrase in this space is the healthy paranoia. So we have a healthy paranoia. We keep an eye on the market weekly, daily sometimes. So yeah, no, we are on the lookout, but we haven't seen anything close.
Summit, why wouldn't you like to be a Hollywood star?
I've been in that industry. Yeah, it's more brutal than it sounds. Genuinely, I've been in that world, and my background is film, television, and the previous company I worked at did make tools that were used for film. It's a brutal industry. It sounds glamorous, but if you bear in mind, all of the effort is all of the profit in film is made by the producers, the casting agents, the major film stars. Production is very, very tough, and production tools are very, very tough. It's a hard job. It's something that here's the best news. The best news, and we're in conversations with a very, very, very renowned visual effects company that is used in every single Hollywood movie, about how we get some of their stuff in what we do for not the highest end, but even for just getting it moving. So we will be including some of the fun stuff. We just know where the profit is, and it's we're not shy of hard work, but it's a lot of work for a very, very sketchy return.
yeah, it's a very fickle part of the market. And I can tell you the distributors make a lot of the money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, from that
Everyone other than the people doing the hardest bit of the work. Yeah.
Okay, so in previous meetings, the team has shared the WOW and the MAU, as in the weekly active users and the monthly active users, and paid subs KPIs. The recent CAC, which is customer acquisition cost update, was also very reassuring to know that marketing spend is being spent as efficiently as possible. The most successful companies I've worked at thrive on that level of accountability and transparency. Will Bird commit to continue to sharing those KPIs with investors so we can be reassured of progress? Absolutely, yes. So at our next reporting period, at the interims, we'll share those numbers. We don't want to share them too often because we're in a sensitive industry as well. We are looked upon from our competitors, and our competitors don't release numbers every few weeks. They are very private with their numbers that they release into the market for obvious reasons. So we'll release them to be transparent to you guys, but we'll do that at the reporting periods.
Can I ask a very quick question?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Have any of your competitors acquired any shares in the company?
You may not know, but it's just
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. Yeah. Not aware of any that have. Okay, next question. You continue to be compared to Figma. Can this cause problems with Figma? I don't think so. I think that I hope they'll be flattered by the comparison. And we haven't heard anything bad from them at this stage. So no, at this stage we're fine. What IP advantages does the company have over Cutting Room, which appears to be our closest competitor in terms of technology? Is Cutting Room's deal with Avid to develop a consumer-prosumer product a big threat to Elevate.io? We know Cutting Room quite well from our Blackbird experience, and Cutting Room is a great tool. It is very much at this stage in the media entertainment space. It's very much at the broadcast space. I haven't seen anything that was be the least bit threatening to Elevate at this stage. Again, healthy paranoia, but not at this stage. I haven't seen anything that's going to be aware of. They don't have our codec for sure. Question for Stephen. Where are we with Blackbird 10 and the player, Stephen?
Blackbird 10s we're starting to test internally. The key point of it is it's the codec after the current Blackbird 9 one. The key point is that it supports 1080p HD, full HD, which is 4 times the current resolution. And it's built as a drop-in replacement for Blackbird 9. So that is starting testing. But the point of Elevate is we're getting the features sorted out first, which we're pretty well there with. And then the big technology upgrades will come in after. And the player we're using it for technology development at the moment. And as we develop the technology in the player, we roll out those features into Elevate. So you saw during Sumit's demo how quickly he could scrub through the content. And that's something that we've added in this year that was developed last year in Spark, the Spark player. So there is in the Elevate roadmap, there is a part, which I won't go into details, but Sumit might do. There's a part that will use the technology in Spark much more from the player side. But it's exactly how it works and fits in. I don't think we've released yet, but it's, watch this space. So Spark is used for technology demonstrations, and I have a few testers, some of them in this room. I'm welcome to have a few more. People want to try it if they've got their Elevate account. Shareholders, selected shareholders, can ask to be added in, and then they will get the ability to publish using Spark. And then as the technology rolls out, they will see it first and obviously help fix it. Although it mostly seems to work. But that's the point of that. So yes, welcome a few more. We're not launching the player itself at the moment as a mass market product, but we definitely use it for testing, and having a few users is a big help for that, because for every few users in Elevate, we get thousands and thousands of views. So at least I do. Quite a few people get a lot of views. So I think that summarizes Blackbird 10 and Spark. So yeah, watch this space.
Thanks, Sue. Another question on AI. Clearly, it's people perceiving it as a threat. Can you discuss how you see an editor developing with human skill and AI skills, and show how much you feel the need to include AI features in Elevate as opposed to seeking them elsewhere? Do you fear Gen Z type users wanting everything done for them as opposed to having traditional editing skills.
I think, as we said at the beginning, it's not the market that we're after. We're not after the turn up online, press one button, and accept whatever the output is. We are a creative tool that's used for people who are crafting something slightly more advanced than that. So we don't see that. We're obviously adding in our own tools and we're adding in third-party tools, but we also have this wonderful authoring environment, which is going to allow people to really control how their content ends up. Again, we're not worried about the bottom 10% of the market or the top 10. So
I really think one should not look at AI as a threat, particularly in the space of creation.
Yeah.
As you said, if it's just outputting something because I want to see two cats on the road, that's very different from creation. We are in the creator economy, and they, on the contrary, want enhanced collaboration. They want more and more tools, and they want so to be as efficient because they have to produce so much content to stay current, but they want to do it at quality and a control level. If anything, we've seen longer content being the trend right now and higher quality content. So it's a recent sentiment in the city that AI is going to destroy all creative industries. It's not the case. It's going to be enhancing, and I really believe that.
We did a panel on this last week or 2 weeks ago at South by Southwest. The conclusion was by a team of experts was that it really is friend, not foe. It's really going to enhance the number of tools available to a creator and make creativity an easier process, meaning to be able to do it. So it's really a friend to the platform and not a threat.
It's more of a statement rather than a question. I agree. I don't think
AI is a threat. I'm not creative from that point of view, but I have a lot of contacts of people in the creative industry. The only people who are going to benefit me are probably fraudsters to a certain extent. But yeah, I don't see it as a threat at all. I can't see it being a threat. This whole package that you're delivering is for people who are creative, as opposed to for AI, which is creative. It's people who are creative, not AI.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think and I'm talking about Elevate as a platform here when I'm saying it's not a threat. I don't say it's not a threat to anyone in the creative industry. I mean, there are definitely jobs that can be done through AI and have been taken, in the last 10 years by other pieces of technology that have moved in there, for sure. That's always, it's a dynamic space, but we see it as a friend to our platform.
Ian, do you want to?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Would you like to write?
That's more of a comment than a question. I have my son's in the film industry and his wife, and they make sort of $1 million to $10 million films. So they're small films that don't get circulated. And I know a few other people who make videos. And the difficulty I see for Elevate is that they've tried sharing responsibility and they know it doesn't work. So they develop their own way of making the films. It goes to them talk about Elevate. They're not interested in that. They know how they make films. And so to some extent I feel you're selling what's going to make Elevate fantastic if you get through to it. It's very fast, good collaboration across different places. All things are impossible now, so people don't want to do it. And some time ago, I think we were talking about making the earlier editor that we hadn't dropped available to schools. And they're the people who are starting out, and they haven't any preconceptions about what you can do and how you can do it. There was some talk about at some stage a camera automatically sending stuff into Blackbird. Do you see this as is this a problem you see? I'm just sitting here seeing you describe something is fantastic, and I'm worried that that's tomorrow and we need today.
Yeah, I mean, we have made some technology and sort of, so the EVA system was a live camera to cloud. And in the professional market, enterprise, we've had live camera going straight into ingest box, straight to the cloud for live editing of professional productions. So we can definitely support that if that's what people are interested in Elevate going forwards. There's a big difference between a film which people discuss for weeks and months, and then they make their 1 hour, 2 hour film, having discussed it. They have collaborated already, but the volume comes through. People have to do a weekly or daily broadcast, and people need to review it. In the corporate world, we don't have a corporate video and then just like, Anne does it on her own or Cal does it on his own. Ian's going to have his say, and Steve's going to have his say, and I'll have my say. And all that collaboration is really to condense the time, and it's going to be in much more like the high volume. And I mean, this touches on another point. We're not designed for film and for Hollywood. That isn't the area, which is the top 10%, which, you take months to make a film, and how much editing is there? We're much more in a much, much bigger market where you see videos on social media, and they're just like, there's an infinite supply of them, and they all have to be made, and they have to be made at high standard.
Yeah, I think what you're describing is, yeah, absolutely. I can understand the valid workflow that they've got. They've got their way of doing things, and they need some serious persuasion to move away from it. But I would use our own marketing team as an example of how useful Elevate is. There's one person that's injured at home at the moment, so she can't work, but she's doing all the videos. So the videos are created by her in her bedroom at home, but they're reviewed by the people in the office. They're collaborated on directly. It is a massive time saver. It is a massive accelerator of how content is being created. So we're kind of like eating our own dog food, if you like. We are using it day in, day out, so we can see how useful it is. But you're right also about school kids and about students. And we're seeing a lot of collaboration from that end of the market, that they're doing it doesn't necessarily have to media students or film students. It's business students, it's science students that are using it to collaborate day in, day out amongst 5, 6, 10 of them, creating a video together live. So you're absolutely right. And I think that students and education is an exciting end of the market for us. It really is. I think it's a huge potential for us. Cal, you would attest to that, right? You're using it day in, day out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're really using it, and I've been in contact since the start of my career, and the amount of time that you're spending that isn't dedicated to the creative process. So just technical kind of, waiting for renders, waiting for uploads, downloads. It's well over half of the time you're spending on a video. Elevate cuts all of that down to minutes, essentially. And usually that takes hours and hours. So yeah, the turnaround times have just been incredible in our own marketing team now.
If I could add just one little extra piece to this. As we said, we're not after that top 10%. So even if these are small 1 to 10 million, that's still in the top 10%, probably still in the top 1% actually of productions that go on. When we did our initial data gathering for Elevate, we did the focus groups, we had a film editing group. And I'll always remember the comment was, I don't want someone collaborating in my timeline if it's my name on the credits, which is something so likely to come out of the film industry. We then went through the workflow that particular user used in their production, and they said that the shot lists are all organized in Google Docs because everyone can share it and collaborate on it. And we were like, okay, so you're using it for that, and you see all the benefits, but it's just your bit here. This is just a classic case of innovator's dilemma. The people who are at the highest end don't always innovate the next way of doing things. The 3D printing came out of, garages in Brooklyn, not out of the industrial, complex and the industrial industry. And cars, the EVs didn't come out of Ford. They came out of startups and other people doing it differently. So for us, we see the quality, and we see the what they produce in film is like a real goal for us, but not how they go about it. How they go about it is intrinsically not going to work for today's economy because it's too high end.
Thank you.
Next question: will EVS be offering Elevate to any of their customers? Could revenue from this channel be significant? I think EVS, and I'd say about the rest of the Blackbird clientele as well, the majority is live. The majority is live inputs, and they edit for live inputs and then turn it around. EVS is famed for being kind of the global leader in live sports and news. So it's possible when we have live going into to Elevate that it might be useful to them in that regard. So I wouldn't rule it out, but it's not in our current near-term plan at this stage. We've got a lot of other things to do in the mid-term.
Just
Yeah.
while you're mentioning EBS, obviously you did a lot of work building the product, getting it ready, then there's been a switch. But there was always a contract there, so there was a minimum pay, and then they'd pay more if they're using more. Can you say if you're seeing that expansion at any pace?
Well, we're still getting the minimum guarantee every year. They were exhibiting it at NAB this year as part of a bigger workflow, and I think it was going down very well. There are talks of some deals that are happening, but we all know that industry is glacial in the way that the deals are done. I mean, that original deal that we were put into was a 10-year deal in the making from their side. So it was quite some. So I think the point is it's a slow burn, but it's certainly still learning. So still going. Donald Trump question. Trump is putting 100% import duty on film products. Is it going to affect Elevate? At this stage, it doesn't affect anything to do with digital products.
No, and America is obviously very big in terms of exporting digital products, so it's unlikely that he's going to want to put tariffs on digital products, software projects.
Yuri was present at a number of board meetings in 2024. Could you expand further on his partnerships, integrations he's working on, and timescales for them, please? All in the product market fit phase. We're still getting to that point where Yuri's connections, his connections are extremely helpful in terms of guidance for us, and he's introduced us to a number of very influential people. It's a case of when the product is ready, we will be pushing on those connections further. Is the internet upload speed a problem for users who generate many hours of 4K video to edit, work remotely, and have 4G connections, for example? Also, can people still work if they are offline? So,
we've got to look at where the world is going, and internet speeds are just increasing rapidly. We don't have amazing internet in the UK, but our product works wonderful in the UK. We've been able to test it in various locations. Myself personally, I tested it recently in Qatar and Bali, and the performance there was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. We honestly don't see this. If people who are early users of Skype, they'll remember the early concern over bandwidth. Now, what telephony call you do doesn't go over IP. Making a phone call on a regular phone is the problem now. It's actually easier to do it over IP. So we just got to look at where this plays out and where it goes. And for those who are struggling, which because they're in an outback somewhere, well, that's why things like Starlink are beginning to exist, and they're more concerned about getting connected so they can be on WhatsApp. They'll fix that problem, and then they'll be able to use the videos.
They've got faster speed in Cambodia.
I'm sure they do.
With the real marketing push not starting for a year, does that mean that we shouldn't see a large increase in paying subs over the next year? So we will be trying and opening up more channels to market, like I said in that second slide I showed today. So you will see changes to our marketing. You will see marketing being more evident. You will also hopefully experience, because that's what we're after, is a reduction in our CAC, so that we continue to see that dropping, and an increase in our conversion metrics of free to pay subscribers, which has gone up a lot since we launched the paid service. But we want to see it continue to improve month on month, and we will turn the taps on more and more. Yep.
The CAC, is it? Sorry. Okay. The CAC, is it? It's just general customers, or is it? It's not specifically paid customers.
It's paid customers.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Paid customers. Yeah. And free customers too. By the way, it's also improved dramatically. Down by I think about half as well, right? The free one. So it's just becoming more efficient all around. It's word of mouth. It's training the algorithm. It's the product becoming better. It's the marketing website becoming better. Marketing efforts. I mean, it's all holistically improving the return. So yeah, I mean, I was at. I think you were aware that the UK government, Innovate UK, sent me to Austin in March this year, where I went to South by Southwest. And I did attend a lot of VC, actually about 4 or 5 VC dinners where I met a lot of VCs in the space and other adjacencies. And talking about where we were, it was very clear to me that, the lingo over here sometimes isn't the same as the lingo over there. And it was like, you know, this is where you are. You've come in through your payment gateway. You're now proving the willingness to pay for this product. You're in the product market fit phase, and that's, you know, it's actually it's the fun bit. It's the bit where you're really trying things out and getting stickiness and you know, bringing down the metrics or improving the metrics all the way through. So this is the phase we're in, and we don't envisage it lasting much longer than the 12 months, if anything, you know, less than 12 months. So yeah, that's where we are.
I think in a way, though, your journey never ends, does it? You know, you will constantly improve your conversion. You'll constantly find a feature that really is a hook into collaboration. And I think what's really interesting about this team is they actually enjoy that ability to move levers every single day to improve our conversion. And that's going to continue. We'll just be better and better at it with bigger spend. But that obsession about the user experience and the conversion and the quality of experience to get them to produce that first piece of content collaboratively and with the result they want is going to be an obsession, I think, for many years to come.
Always, I think always. You're absolutely right. Always an obsession. We can always be better. You've mentioned today a lot about what you're working on. It would be beneficial to indicate on the website some of the features coming soon so as to excite further potential users. Okay, this question for you two. I don't know how you feel about that. I know some of you are very much.
Yeah, from my point of view, we've always been a company that talks about stuff that we've released, or let's just say a product in Elevate. That way round is so much more, so much better, more efficient. Doesn't attract problems. It's just easier to talk about stuff once we've done it than it is to try and plan out the future that you are unaware of, and then have to stick to that. And then you end up doing the work twice. Like, that's what happens. Whenever you have this idea that you're going to talk about something and you're going to put a date in the diary and you're going to have a big build up to it, the amount of effort required to do that is massive. And it doesn't allow you to react to changes that happen in the market. And whilst we're not exactly at that level yet, we will get to that level. And the last thing we want to do is be consumed by our own process and our own timeline rather than actually working on the right one. I don't know whether Kel wants to add anything to that.
No, I think that I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask a question which I'm not expecting to get the answer to.
Okay.
Previous presentations, you've talked about beachheads and compared it to other companies finding a beachhead. You talk about market fit. Are you finding the areas that you're developing the product to be a market fit for a product usage group that you consider a beachhead, or are you still very general at the moment, trying to find out where that beachhead is to land and then expand from there?
It's a great question. I'll take my side first of all. Yeah, I think the vision has always been to be a general purpose tool, and we are seeing quite a mix of different types of user that we are proving useful for. So from, I mentioned before, for students and school and university students, for gamers, for hobbyists, but then also for influencers, also for businesses. We are seeing quite a broad range of use cases. I haven't seen a beachhead at this stage that I would say, because it's still, still early days, but it's there's definitely some patterns emerging from it. Yeah, really some of those patterns. And I think that the point I made about collaboration really seems to be happening in the younger users. It's a really good point you made.
I don't think there's much to add other than we didn't plan on education. We didn't plan on gaming. We almost didn't think that would be the easiest, because they're not necessarily the highest propensity to spend, but there's a lot of them, which is where we're now figuring out that actually, even if you just get a few, I've seen this with previous digital products that I've worked on, that you'll never know. Like we could become the editor of choice for example, sports enthusiasts is another area we've just sort of seen. There's a lot of opportunity there with the amount that people capture with GoPros, they're skiing or they're cycling or things like this. Well, it's an undercated market. No one else is even thinking about, or what generators or tools can we add to them? So we may find that becomes something, but we'll only know, and we get to know because we have great telemetrics within the product, so we get to find out who people are and what they're doing, and depending on how much they tell us, obviously. But that's why this phase is so crucial for us not to skip it or to take the first thing that shows any success and put all of our eggs in that basket. That's a mistake. This is a general product. Its core will always be as a general product. but that doesn't mean that it can't excel in lots of areas that we target specifically through marketing. Like if we try and boil the ocean, we'll destroy, we'll chew up marketing budget like no tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yes, thank you for what you're telling us. I agree with the way in which you are trying to move. And sometimes it's very hard to understand what you're trying to do. However, there's going to be a time when your product reaches a critical mass and you'll still be learning, all right? Because once it goes out, there'll be other people jumping on board who will have desires or intentions that they would like. Is your product flexible enough to factor that in as well? Now, I'm speaking literally out of the blue, and I'm getting a good idea of what's going on. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
But the more people that jump on board, the more questions and flexibility. So how flexible is this product to deal with the unknown, so to speak?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a really nicely phrased question. It's the irony is the flexibility comes from discipline. We're unbelievably disciplined and unbelievably relentless at keeping certain things the way they are so as not to prejudice our future. And we've had this before. We've had marketing and we've had users try and push us to do stuff. And we're so disciplined about what we do because we know we need to maintain this as a general product. It has to be, it's so tempting, I think, in anything tech to just build on and build on. You end up with the, Tower of Babel, and it becomes a disaster, becomes unmanageable. For us, this is obviously an ongoing project. There's no end to it. It's like every service, like every SaaS product. What it is in 10 years is usually somewhat recognizable from what it was, but you obviously move in different directions. And for us to keep that agility, we have to have, our vision has to be intact. Our user group, obviously, we've got to have good users and they've got to be paying us, otherwise we can't move forward. We have to be able to monitor them and understand what they're doing and react to that accordingly. But it all has to be disciplined. If it's undisciplined and we jump at every available opportunity, or we, just go at things because there's one minuscule opportunity or something like that, then we ruin the wider product.
But the interesting thing is the foundation you built, we're always open towards an ecosystem. So we won't need to build every feature. If it's not part of our roadmap, or not part of our vision, we'll create the marketplace that will enable a user to do that, because the way Summit has built this product is with thinking about always an ecosystem, a marketplace, an openness to other partners coming in. And therefore that will make us much richer in terms of features without needing to build in left field that doesn't correspond to the vision, because somebody will build that and we will integrate it.
I think you'll probably shoot yourself in the foot. There is flexibility built into enable you to move, whether it's you sell to somebody else. So yes.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
We've built it through an idea of being part of an ecosystem. So de facto, we've built it in a flexible way.
And people forget now that the iPhone marketplace only had Apple apps in it, the first iPhone. And it wasn't till later that they opened it up. Obviously, we have the knowledge of their experience, and our concept is for something that can be opened up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question: has anything happened to the idea of users finding other users? Can you give me 3 months free if you find X number of user signups? I can see Cal smiling. Yeah, we're working on that. The viral nature and also the referral and affiliate nature of the platform is absolutely part of the plan and being worked on right now. Summit also talked about the view only mode. This is something where you would not have to have an Elevate account to be able to access the video, therefore creating a lot more distribution for that video and adding to the virality of the platform. Good. Great to see a roadmap for marketing. Are you able to share a roadmap with expectations around the development of the product, for example, AI integration and marketplace being opened? If we are not expecting to open up the product fully until mid-26, when will a placing be expected? We'll come to that second question in a second.
So I think we did give a little bit of a roadmap in
at the final results.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Product roadmap.
Yeah, nothing's changed there. We obviously have hit all of the things that we said we would do up until now. We're ahead on some things, and some things are taking a little bit longer, but they're all still within the boundaries of guidance that we gave. As you know, we're not putting dates in the diary to say this will happen on this day, because that forces a lot of bad behavior. But what we will do is, we know what we're building. We've never been more sure about what we're doing, that's for sure. As time goes on, we become clearer and clearer as to the path. And I think it's fair to say that we have achieved the things that we set out to do this time last year. If you consider what we said we'd be doing by now, we've done.
Second part of the question: when would we expect a placing to happen? Well, we would look to tap the market for additional funds if and when we get to the right level of traction, which we are working on. So when we get to the right level of traction, which is early metrics are very encouraging. Why has there been such a limited recent director buying, including the Neds, given the low share price and ambitious narrative? I would say that we don't have a limitless amount of personal funds to that one, and when there is the opportunity to do so, we will certainly do so. Excellent presentation all round. Thank you. That's very nice to say so. Why are you removing the 50% early bird offer? Are you seeing signs that users are willing to pay $15 to subscribe? This is a learning phase, and we are definitely getting to the point where we feel that the product has the critical mass of features, where it is value for money for those customers now to spend $15, €15, £15. It wasn't when in February, and we don't want to think that they were overpaying. We now believe it is. Anything else you'd add to that?
I think just that it's an early bird offer. It has to be, otherwise we're being untruthful. We have to end it. Also,
I mean, just a little apocryphal story. My wife spends $120 a month on Adobe, and she much prefers Elevate. So, I mean, $7.50, $15. It's nothing, and that Adobe is a fraction of what she spends on marketing her business, and her videos. It's like, if you can't afford $15, then you're not making money. We're not aiming at the bottom 10% of freebie consumers. We're aiming at people who actually make videos to make money, or hobbyists who might spend, $1,000, $2,000, £5,000 on a camera. It's not a big cost.
Could you please update us on Blackbird, the professional video editor? Is it still profitable, increasingly profitable compared to the previous quarter, and what are the plans for it? The plans are certainly that we are working with our customers who are loyal customers on the very highest end of the sports and news industry. As you guys are aware, it is profitable. Anything else you want to say on that?
Yeah, no, we gave guidance as well that we expect BAFTA to be profitable as well this year as well. So it's more than wash its face, but also again the two products share the same technology, so that there's benefits that go into place.
Could you repeat when you think you're starting to use influencers? As a UK company, can't you pitch to UK companies to use it for corporate videos, for example? Cal, do you want to answer the one about influencers? Are you comfortable with it?
Yeah, sure. So we are reaching out already, and there is some movement. We're reaching out already, and there's something happening there. There are conversations, and I think the affiliate and referral program that we alluded to earlier, they're going to play a very big part in that to incentivize influencers.
Yeah, and I think to the point about reaching out to companies, we're not intending to have an in-person sales team for selling Elevate. It will be done digitally, and it will be done through various channels, which will include selling directly to UK, US, and other companies. So there's for sure. When will I be able to upload content straight from my mobile to Elevate Cloud when it's on the move?
We are actually working on the first mobile upload interface. It's going very well. We don't have a exact indication of when it will drop, but it'll be much easier for you to get content directly from the phone.
Some of it is very modest. It looks fantastic, by the way.
Yeah,
it looks really slick.
And it's also worth mentioning that we have improved upload recently, and that back end is perfect for connecting the mobile app to. So it's already started. From a development.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, we obviously care about experience, and mobile upload can be sketchy because of the way that cell signals work versus obviously wired internet or Wi-Fi. And so we've had to put in place a much better upload mechanism that can retry if things fail, and it almost anticipates that there will be blackout and things like that. So we've got that in place. That's all working. we build out the interface, and then the experience that people will get will be good.
Do you think any of the large players in the market understand Elevate and what you hope to achieve? Do you think they're concerned about this? I'm presuming this question is regarding the likes of Adobe and Apple Final Cut. If so, what do you expect them to do? Any thoughts on that one?
I think it's like they have a huge investment in the products working in a certain way. They have for them, there's another question, obviously, which is similar in terms of why wouldn't Adobe or any other company like that just do what we're doing overnight? Well, there's a long history of companies. It's the innovator's dilemma. The Monzo and Revolut didn't come out of Lloyd's Bank. The EVs have not come out of Ford and GM. They've come out of newer companies. There's just a long history in tech of this happening. When large companies have such a large vested infrastructure, a large vested investment, and a huge effort that they put around doing something a certain way, they're not going to throw that away to move to something else over here. Usually until it's too late. That's usually what happens.
Yeah. Kodak's another example with digital cameras, which is pretty well in the industry precursor, and they completely dominated the chemical film thing. They actually invented the digital camera, but they refused to do anything because it wasn't what they did. And obviously now all the cameras are made by Japanese electronics companies. So yes, I think they won't necessarily realize till it's too late. And we saw that with Figma, actually.
And it's just a matter of investment. It's the same reason General Motors are still investing in V8 engines, because that's what they know. It's what they do best. And for us, when it comes up often, obviously the conversation, especially around Adobe, around competition, for me, and this is maybe just my personal view, the biggest threat is a company like us. It's not Adobe, by far. The biggest threat totally comes from someone else like us.
I do agree. That's one of the reasons I asked a question about flexibility. And I think I remember a good few years back, I asked a question concerning a well-known product that went down the wall. And often when you get too big, your very structures in which way you operate are your Achilles heel. So I'm listening to you. I'm actually quite impressed with the way you're going. But the flexibility is important. And so that's grand. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you for that. I am also gobsmacked as to why Stephen Streeter did not receive 100% of his votes.
It wasn't me typing this.
Stephen is a genius and has always been right for 20 years, 100%. There you go, Stephen. You sure this wasn't you? Okay. Any ideas for how to extract revenues from Elevate non-paying users on platforms, advertising, other ideas? I mean, we are adding to the platform all the time. Just in the last week, since looks have been included, there are now a whole array of looks that can only be accessed if you're a paying customer. So that's if you're a free user and you want to use these looks, then you have to go to behind a paywall to get them. It's very similar to how Canva built out their platform, built out their paying platform. We are just at the beginning of that curve, but it's going to be added to all the time. Did you want to add something to something?
No, that's it.
I think hyper-focus on subscription is the right thing to do.
Correct.
Yeah.
You have to get that level of subscription, that customer base, to then explore other things. If Kel, for example, spends time doing subscription, then another model, you'll lose the focus. So subscription is absolutely the right way to focus.
Of course.
Yeah. The free users are massively important because they're going to do a lot of the viral lifting for us. They will be inviting other people into the platform and collaborating, and those people might end up subscribing as well. So even free users are very, very beneficial to our model.
Yeah,
completely. And when they publish a video as well, they have the Elevate sting. So we're effectively getting a free advertisement when they publish their videos.
Yeah, hundreds of free adverts every day. That's exactly right. So yeah, that's good. Ian, you're a UK company chasing US investors, sorry, UK customers at present. Do you feel the need to spend more time there to understand the changing market? I don't know how much more I can learn from being in markets with video makers there. I think we can learn just as much here. It's yeah. I think for events would be helpful as we gain more profile. There are a number of creator-focused events and corporate-focused video events over in the States. But at this stage, yeah, we're happy doing from here. Okay, how can a tiny company like Bird compete with Frame.io from Adobe? Surely any technical advantage can be copied instantly. Do you want to pick on that?
I think honestly, it's the answer that we gave earlier. Adobe as an organization will not, they're not going to go against their existing investment. In the case of, Adobe tried to acquire Figma because they realized it had gone too far. So our concern, again, they're not going to throw away their huge, they're not going to go down our path at all. That's not their route to market. It goes against what they're putting all of their effort into and what they make all of their money out of. That's not the concern. It's not a concern. They're not the concern for us. And it's not just them. It's the same as Apple are definitely not going to the cloud. They have never done well, or it goes completely against selling our hardware. Why would they make a product that runs on a $150 Chromebook if you're Apple? Why would you do that? Doesn't mean that Final Cut's not great. Final Cut is great. But why would they do that? There's no incentive for them to do that at all. Adobe, similarly, they want you to be part of that large ecosystem. All the other providers, like one that I work for, you can't sway the ship. It's just way too big. They're going to burn everything down to build something speculative. They're not.
So there's also just another thing, but it's related about the culture. Avid did try and do it years ago, and they spent years and years and years trying to move to the cloud, and they couldn't get it to work. And every year their announcement was less ambitious than the one they'd promised the previous year. And in the end, they just dropped it because they don't know how to do it. It's a different mentality. And these, as Sumit says, they've got the wrong people running those companies. They don't know how to do it. I could just give one example. I'll just give only one analogy, which is Nokia. Nokia used to have the biggest company in the world for mobiles. They had more users than iPhone at one point when it actually came around to our offices. At that point, they had 650 million and iPhone had 500 million. And they said they were going to give all their customer list to Apple because they couldn't compete with the App Store and their model. And Nokia had their sort of engineering version of the App Store, not very user-friendly. And I said, why don't you just make your own App Store? And they said, well, they've asked all the people in Nokia and none of them know how to do it. And I said, well, why don't you just go to Silicon Valley and hire 20 people? And they said, oh, no, it's not in our culture. We have to offer the jobs to the people in Nokia. And there weren't any Finns in Nokia who knew how to do it. So they didn't do it. And now, where's Nokia? It's basically gone. And it's sort of hard to imagine how an 11 billion euro company, whatever it was at the time, it would be much bigger now. They just cannot make that change. So,
what are Stephen / Summit's thoughts on Scenery closing down and some of the staff moving to Adobe?
I think it's sad for them. We actually happened to meet them just before they ended, and overwhelming response or memory from the conversations that we had at a trade show were that this is very, very hard. I always never forget. This is very, very hard was their sort of expression, and I think that they unfortunately just didn't get far enough in the time that they had, and took a parachute. That's it. It's not actually good. We want the competition is really healthy. It's a good thing. We want to be the leaders. We want to win this thing, but we do not want more people helping spread the word. They've helped spread the word of this this world. So that's a good thing. And if more of them do it, then that's good as well.
But it is harder than it looks. So. But it's also important that people want to use cloud. Everything, Google Docs, we talked about, Figma in design. There are dozens of cloud applications, including all the social media things like Facebook and X and things. That's what people, particularly the young people, that's what they expect. And if you say you've got to buy a desktop machine and install the software and get an upgrade every 6 months, it's like, what do you mean? It's like watching television at 6:30 p.m. They don't even know that there's a timetable, because on the internet you just watch things when you want to. It's the wrong psychology, and it's not the way the world's moving.
Are there any more questions from the room before? Yes.
Okay, I'll just go on to. I've got a question about funding. I think in the after
we had voted on the AGM resolutions, I think one of them, it might have been 6 or 7, said that we would not go beyond the permissions given in that particular resolution. If you went up to the maximum and say it was, you could raise at 5p a share, how much would you be raising based on your current permissions?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to get into speculation around
No.
fundraisers and things, but if you took the 10% resolution which was passed, it would be 10% of our current share price, which is around 1.7 million.
Okay, so if it were to happen, it might be like the half a dozen high net worth individuals who came in at.
As I said, I'm not going to go into speculations around fundraisers, etc. here, but yeah, the 1.7 million is the answer.
Okay, and if you were to, would any of it be?
Nice try. Nice try. Yeah, I think we're going to go back and forth.
No, this is a related but not a direct question. If you were to, would you be able to raise that money under the EIS VCT rules?
We have in the past, when we raised back in February 2024, we were EIS and VCT compliant. I'd assume if we were to try and apply again, that it might well still be the EIS and VCT. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be.
I think it lasts 2 years if you have permission.
No, you have to apply every time.
Oh, do you?
You do, yeah.
Oh, okay. But you've still got headroom because.
Yeah, we've got headroom. Yes. Yeah, we've raised about just over 3 million. Whatever.
Is that all?
VCT
so you've got loads
We're a
of
knowledge-intensive company.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, should you raise, I will participate on an EIS basis.
Noted.
Thank you.
I'll have you down for a T-shirt.
So I just wanted to ask some simple non-technical questions. What I wanted to ask is when we had the presentation 3 years ago, that very good presentation, where do you remember the one 3 years ago? Everybody came
in Wimbledon.
Yeah, Shoreditch.
Oh, Shoreditch, yes.
The share price was much higher then, and there was some indication that if things were going to go well, there was going to be some form of fundraising the following July, August. I mean, there was some talk about it, but the share price was much higher then. I'm just saying that never happened, and which is a bit of a shame, really, because people of my generation are a bit older than you, and it's that we're very worried. Well, some of us are very worried about the share price, and as to when it's going to happen. So the other question I want to ask: where do you see yourself in 1, 2, and 25 years' time?
This is something, right?
For all of you.
I'm going to argue
That's
that
15 questions.
Yeah, I'm going to argue that from the share price point of view, we're following a global trend in that we're in no different a position than plenty of other tech companies who were sitting a lot higher in 2023 or 22, even 21. It was even more higher. So we're on a curve. Obviously, we want to break out of the curve faster by our own efforts, which we're all working super hard to. The thing that I did say in a meeting recently to someone we were talking to, which I think is very fair, is we're in a way better position than we were then.
Yeah.
So if the stock price was there then, but we're in a much better, like this so much more tangible. We've done what we said we would do. 3 years ago, it was very, very early days, and the special event, the product was, it existed, but it certainly wasn't available to the masses, and it was very limited in what it could do. We now have a going concern, and I think that's the most important thing. We've turned the hardest point, and I think we understood this internally. A lot of the people who work on Elevate have come from SaaS businesses, and I'll always remember that it's hardest to get your first customer than it is to get, your 100th or 1000th or so on and so forth. Getting people to buy the product, getting people to use the product is actually the toughest thing, getting to that position of the 0 to 1. In terms of 25 years, Stephen will still be here. I'm not sure that I will be.
I'll just give you another thing, because you're obviously interested in the share price, which we don't control. Well, we don't control it, but I will say that when we were IDOS, when I was at IDOS, we had a lot of customers buying our games, And a significant number of those who like the games bought the shares, and that mopped up all the free float, and we got to over £1 billion market cap back then. So that's worth several billion now. And now we've moved from a enterprise only, a few people who aren't the decision makers. It's like the finance directors would tell them use this because it's the most efficient. Now we're moving to creators who are actually in charge of their own world, and they decide what tools to use, and a lot more. It's a much bigger audience that we're in. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those decide to buy some of the shares, and over time that could tip the balance in supply and demand of the shares.
Thanks, Steve.
It's all about the fundraise. You had a timeline, and you actually had it as part of, you've used it as an example of how people built up the product, built up the number of users, where they went to it, and where they actually then did capital raises. Obviously, we're all worried about the share price. We've worn it a lot. We've actually carried on investing as well, thinking jam tomorrow. Obviously, we're getting closer and closer to that point. Do you think the next fundraise, everything going in trajectory with ambition, etc., users picking up, are you leaving it as late as possible, hoping that there's a better price, there's more people willing to put in money at that time, and then use that money you've always said for marketing, etc.?
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of, okay, nobody's going to care because now we're off. That kind of thing is a big bang. And then the other side of that is, you mentioned VCs, you're obviously talking to people. A lot of the talk about this company is running out of cash. Have you got people actually already coming to your door and actually knocking, saying we'd like to get involved?
I'm not going to get into the speculation on the second question for sure, but on the first one, you're not far off it on that one. We know we've got to get to a scale-up phase, and it will be a small amount of money to get us from here to the scale-up phase. So we want to make sure that we're not going to run out of money. If there's a small top-up that we have to do, then we will do it. But it's not far away to get to that scale-up phase. So it's absolutely about traction. Correct.
Will existing shareholders be involved if you have another fundraising next time?
I'd like that to be, yeah, for sure.
I know you don't want to be too specific, but about how much money in total are you going to need to market this properly? If not now, then at some stage in the future.
I think that really depends on ambition. I could answer a question with a 1 0 or 2 zeros. It's about ambition. It's like, where do we feel this company has the potential to be a Figma for video editing?
Obviously, there will come a point when you will have enough users to be able to use the money that you're getting in to market it further.
Mm-hmm.
But how much are you going to need to get to that stage?
I would refer back to the earlier question, Philip. It's really about, you could say, if you're talking to UK investors, they ask that same question: what number is break even? How much do you need to get to break even? When will break even take place? If you speak to US investors, it's like, when can you get to product market fit stage and scale up phase? And they want you to take the market. They don't want you to get to break even. It's a different mindset, and I have got to bear both in mind. So I'm not going to answer the question directly, but
This isn't a placing question this time, you'll be pleased to know, Steve. There's been a number of TR1s, specifically from Premier Mitten, who are reducing their stake. You can't speak for them, and I realise that, but I suspect it's because it's from redemptions. Are there any other Premier Mitten type investors which you've got who have also been doing redemptions? And do you monitor the redemption rate? It's going to turn a corner one day when there's no net redemptions, there's actually investment in these funds.
Yeah.
And you might expect then that Premier Mitten would be topping up. Have you got any?
Yeah, all I can say, I can't talk specifics about Premier Mitten and everything, but they have had a very tough time. As we all know, the the top 7 companies, tend to be technology companies, and everyone's wanted to invest in them, and they've seen massive returns over the last few years. So that's mean there's been a lot of redemptions in UK, in particular small cap stocks. I know from my own portfolio as well. So the only way that they can actually pay for those redemptions, as you say, is to sell their existing holdings.
And the liquid one.
Okay, yeah, we're the only liquid stock on AIM, it seems. But there's another. I mean, I've been in lots of these ups and downs, and video markets particularly prone to them. But I will say that in the city, I've been in the city for most of my life now. They all like doom and gloom and everything, and then after a bit they just get fed up with that. Because no one makes money if it's just permanent doom and gloom. And then they all just sort of like, there's a change, and suddenly it's like, wow, how could things get so cheap? And then they're all like diving in, and then it's like 7-year cycle or something.
I think we're at the beginning of that cycle, frankly.
Yeah.
People are starting to get fed up with this. Trump does his World War III yet again, and people like nothing happens. People have just said, oh, not again, another World War III. Let's see what we can get, what opportunities there are. And I think we're starting to see those signs of life.
Excellent.
We hear green shoots out there. So.
Green shoots, and Trump, in a way, doesn't help the investment in the US with all his flip-flopping on tariffs, etc. And think people want a certain environment, where they're going to invest for the longer term.
Another point, actually. I mentioned that the dollar has taken a big tumble recently, and of course, most of your business at the moment at this emergent stage is in the US. So
swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, is that having any sort of adverse effect on you?
It will have a bit of an impact, whatever like that, in terms of our revenue. Obviously, we try and mitigate it, but the majority of our costs are in sterling as well. We don't hedge or anything, but you can see that it's gone down, 5-6% or whatever like that compared to previously.
Yeah,
so
and it will go the other way one day.
Yeah, precisely.
Well, we have our secret weapon, the Chancellor. Might balance it out a bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we continue to monitor it, but it's not worth our time and the cost involved of actually hedging at this stage.
But she changes her mind all the time.
Agreed.
Any more questions? There was one more about souvenirs. Yeah. If you give me a free T-shirt, I will also be an advert for you in each other. Watch this space. Mugs are here, guys. So come and help yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And I think we were looking for your question about